Alrighty. So once again, thanks guys for joining this Rogue workshop. Hopefully you'll find some info here that you can take with you to your raids. I'm on RT1 and I was asked to kind of put this on, so happy to do what I can. And again, I'm not claiming to be like the master of stats and all that. What I find that what my strengths are is I know fights very well. I've played this quite a bit, so hopefully some of this information you guys can pass on and really dominate. Okay, so gonna go over combat specs, world buffs, raid preparedness, openers, rotations, understanding the fights. That's where the bulk of the information is kind of gonna be had, and then we can have a volunteer look at some logs, and then we could have a Q&A. Again, the first part's gonna be kind of a high level, which I believe everybody kind of understands. Um, but in looking at some of the logs that were sent to me, I still see some rogues not utilizing their full tool belt. So we want to really maximize everything, and that's what's really going to help. So as everybody knows, combat is the spec that rogues mainly use right now, and the two popular are swords and daggers. We don't really see many of the maces or fist weapons. It's either swords or it's daggers. And the play style is different. The principle is the same, right? We want to keep up some skill sets or some spells, but the play style is different. This is what your typical combat spec will look like. Again, this is kind of taken from the webs. So this is your standard cookie cutter sword spec, and then this is your standard dagger spec. Small variation, but daggers you really want to get that crit. That's where the bulk of the damage comes from, is your backstab and having daggers. All right, so world buffs. One of the things that I know the guild really wants to push is, while it's not required to get all the world buffs, but rogues just scale so well when you get everything, right? I mean, you can see a big difference in the parses, your damage, whether you have world buffs or not. And that's just the reality of classic WoW, where world buffs do play a role in your ability to have high parses or high damage, especially for melee. We have just so much out there that really helps. So the guild requires Dragon Slayer and ZG, and obviously when Darkmoon Fair's out, get that. I find right now at this stage of the game and on this server that it's becoming harder to get the Dragon Slayer and ZG. I will always get DMT because that is very easy to get. There's loads of people selling it for 5 gold. That's not that much. 5 gold, you got to walk there, spend about 6 minutes running through that place, but you get these buffs that are just impactful. They really do help a lot. And Songflower also. Those DMT Songflowers, those are easy to get. You could do it on your own accord when you have time. Whereas Ani and ZG, you unfortunately have to wait for somebody to drop it, right? One thing that I found is the Ani buff, once it's off cooldown, typically people will drop it, so that's an easier way to gauge it. But it just sucks kind of standing around in Stormwind waiting for a buff to drop. So I highly recommend that outside of what is required, the ZG and Dragon Slayer, if you don't already do it, get it. DMT and Songflower. And if you're able to get Rend and feel spicy and get Rend, that extra percent to haste is great. It does make a difference, but again, that's not required, and that in itself requires additional dedication. But again, all these things just really have a big impact on our ability to do damage. Being prepared for buffs, what I like to do is I want to make sure that my bag, I've got all the consumes ready for that week. Again, this is going to depend on your ability and time, also your availability and time to get these things, how much gold you have. But having elixirs, potions, um, it should be something that everybody should strive for to have. Even if it's not mongoose, that's 10 gold a pop. Get the lesser ones, they still mean something. They will still help you, right? So along with the world buffs, your pots, your jujus, all these things when you add them together just make a huge impact to your overall performance. Uh, but you got to be mindful of what stacks, what doesn't stack. For example, mongoose and agility, they don't stack. Mongoose will overtake that. Juju and might does not stack with giant's elixir. So just be careful of that so you don't waste it. Bothar had a spreadsheet that he created on stuff that does stack and doesn't stack. So just be mindful of that.
Where's that
Uh,
at?
Uh,
Do you
I
know?
can. I don't know if it's actually officially posted, but I can definitely post it in the Rogue channel. I do have it, so I can get the link, post it. It is very helpful to know what stacks, what doesn't stack. I basically stack on Prague. I don't go Mongoose just because we're gonna wipe a lot, but I will do Agility and Giants. Those are relatively cheap, right? So those two you can get, it's cheap. And then anything else you want after that, like Fort Pot, Armor Pot, which we don't really need, but just things like that, right? The more consumes you have, the better you are to survive and contribute to your performance. Thistle Tea is something that it's a must for a rogue. I think that you have to use that. I know most rogues are using it. I do see still on some logs that Thistle Tea wasn't used on a boss fight. Um, it's pretty much just free DPS, you know. The best way to use the tea is when you're in your rotation, you're about to get down to zero energy, pop it, you get back up to full energy. It's just a great burst of damage or something that can help you get back on track with your rotation. But I still see some rogues aren't using it. That's, I think, is a must. That's got to be on every boss fight. Poisons, again, I find instant poison after my research of logs and everything. A lot of the top end rogues use instant versus the dot a poison. Instant poison, very simple, easy to make. Again, another staple for rogues to use. Just make sure you refresh it or understand the how much time you have left. Again, this is kind of basic stuff, but I still see on logs no poison damage on bosses, whether somebody forgot to reapply or it dropped off towards the end or during the fight. Better to be safe than sorry. Renew it, right? I think everybody understands that. So make sure you're prepared for a raid. I like to be prepared. I've got extra flask, potions, teas, everything. You're going there, get ready with the mindset of performing at the top level that you can. So kind of going into the specs again, I think this is something that everybody already kind of knows, but again, on some logs, I still don't see the consistency. As combat spec, one of the main things we want to maintain is slice and dice. As rogues, our damage mainly comes from melee, and then our secondary ability, either Sinister Strike or Backstab. I know for some of the sword rogues, Sinister Strike can overtake your regular white damage. For dagger rogues, your main source of damage is your white hits and then backstab. So whenever you look at your logs and everything, DPS meter, you will see you're meleeing more than you are for your secondary, which is backstab. So key thing here is slice and dice. You want to try to keep up 100%. Right off the bat, you can start with slice and dice into, I'm sorry, sinister strike into a slice and dice, ambush or backstab into a slice and dice, or a garrote into a slice and dice. Again, that should be your opener. For dagger rogues, backstab or ambush into a slice and dice. That's your primary opener to get that fast attack speed going. And then throughout your rotation, slice and dice, keep it up 100% of the time. The only time where I don't refresh it is when I know we're about to kill the boss, right? If everything's going well, I see his health is going down, everybody's up, I know that it's not worth refreshing slice and dice. I'd rather pump extra damage into the boss. And I've seen logs where a slice and dice was used, either it's a 1 to 5 combo point slice and dice, and the boss dies within 2 seconds. I think that was a waste and should have been used on damage. Might have been a fat finger, something happened, but be mindful of that, right? Kind of gauge when you could re-up slice and dice versus putting an actual DPS on the boss. For example, on our Veil fights, when we open, I do 2 combo points, slice and dice, and I never refresh it throughout that fight. And then you pretty much look at the boss's health and then gauge how much time you have left. The goal is to pump as much damage you can into the boss. Here's a big thing. I see that there could be a lot of adjustments here is when to pop cooldowns. So the best way to understand this is if you know the encounter of the boss you're fighting, adjust your cooldowns for that. So one example is Twin Amps, right? So new raid, AQ20, Twin Amps. When should we use it when we're running back and forth, right? So what I like to do for Twin Amps is I open, and mind you, I'm a dagger rogue, so my opener is going to be different, but I open up with an ambush on the melee guy as the tank takes him into place, and I go with my general rotation, and then I try to pump as much damage I can, but I'm not popping cooldowns or anything yet. I save 1 or 2 combo points for the transition when we move. Everybody knows this fight, right? Twin Amps, everybody's seen this fight where they port back and forth.
Right. Yes.
Perfect. So I save a couple combo points. So when we transition to the first teleport, I re-up slice and dice and I have it ready for melee, right? Now, the first port, the melee guy is out of position. I'm still not popping cooldowns because we have to let the tank get that mob or that boss into a position. There, I still do my general rotation, still do not pop any cooldowns. At the 2 to 3 second mark, when they're about to port, I get off the boss. Again, I have a couple combo points saved up. Now the second teleport happened. Now we're back to the original spot. That's when I pop everything that I have into the boss. AR, Thistle Tea, Renateki, Blade Flurry. If it's clear, again on that fight, you got to be wary of Blade Flurry. But I'm going into it with that port right there. I know my cooldowns are going to be 100% up on the boss to do as much damage as possible. I have seen some rogues pop it early on. The problem with that is when you're called off the boss to go to the other side, your cooldowns are running and you're not attacking anything. So that's my mindset on that encounter is I'm going to make sure that my cooldowns are up 100% and they're going into the boss. For Hoo Hoo, I don't wait until she's at 30%. I pop anywhere between 40 and 45% to start ramping in that damage and then getting setups for when she berserks and then really just going ham on that. And then I would use Thistle Tea, Renataki, everything that I have from 30% down to really burst damage her down, right? So I don't wait until 30% because in theory, I think we kill her in about 10 seconds after that. So I have less. I've wasted about 5 to 6 seconds of my cooldowns where I could have pumped in a little bit earlier. So understanding the fight mechanics and knowing when to pop your cooldowns will be very big to your overall output. Another example is on Neff. When you engage Neff after he lands, I typically wait a little bit because you notice he'll fear relatively early on in the fight. And what I noticed is in the beginning, I was when once he lands, I'm like, great, I'm just gonna start popping everything, getting ready, and then now I got feared. Um, I have a lot of cooldown or wasted time. So now I wait until he fears, get back into him, and then I really start to ramp the damage up. Make sense? So the key is to know the fights on when you're able to have your cooldowns up all the time. And that you can know that by studying the fights and understanding team strategy, learning the raid's movement, learning the raid's positions will also help contribute to that for that window to really pump in your uh, CDs. So communication is key. Understand what the fight's about, how it works, especially going into Nax. There's going to be more mechanics there, movements. Understand those fights, learn those fights, and again, pop your cooldowns when you know you're going to have the uptime. Uh, Going into gearing, I think everybody's really good about understanding their gear. Sword rogues might be going for different stuff than dagger rogues. So generally, we all kind of go for the same minus weapons and anything that adds plus to daggers. Wowhead's a great source to go to get an understanding of what gear to get, how to prioritize your gear, and what helped me a lot is simming my gear. So simming really helps a lot so you understand what's a better piece and not. Again, I don't claim to know the best stats, best gears. I really rely on that so I understand, okay, is this going to be that significant of an upgrade to really go for it? Or can I wait for it? For example, Dagger Rogues, the Age Core leather gloves, they're pretty much still BIS until you get that Sting. You don't remove those gloves, and they're MC level gloves, but they make such a huge impact to daggers because the more skill you have, you want to get up to at least 308 to have your glancing blow percentage low. Otherwise, you're not going to DPS as high. So it's a great way to verify upgrades and then also help you prioritize when you do your loot council sheet, your BIS list. You can prioritize it of, well, this isn't going to be that big of an upgrade I could do without versus this other piece that can be a bigger upgrade. I'd rather get that. So it's really a great way. It's a great tool to use. Um, Again, kind of going back to raid strategy, really understanding the fights on when to use cooldowns. Another example on Veil. Uh, Using Blade Flurry right before the fight starts will add much more DPS because you're not using a GCD to pop Blade Flurry, you're doing it out of combat, and then you're just ready to go into the boss. So this is really big for dagger rogues, where all you're doing essentially is pressing three buttons. You're doing backstab, eviscerate, and slice and dice, right? Um, So having Blade Flurry not being one of the rotations while in combat will help you with that. Weapon swapping, that's in AQ40. I don't do it as much. I did in the beginning, especially once you start learning the trash mobs, the positioning, right? We can't, as dagger rogues, we can't always be behind the bot or behind a mob because if it kicks you back, you might land into another ad or another group of mobs. So again, positioning is key. Sword rogues on this one have an easier time because you can be wherever and still go through your rotation. You're not going to be affected as much as dagger rogues. So just you can switch swords or fist weapon or maces, whatever you have as a secondary to get maximum damage into the trash packs. Viscidus is another one where you can weapon swap, where you would use your cold weapons, and then when Viscidus freezes, he turns into phase two with the blobs. Switch to your main weapons, because those are the ones that are going to do the most damage, and you want to kill those globs down as fast as possible. So these are the things that you want to really think about when you're weapon swapping. And again, T timing, time your T's when you're as close to zero energy as possible. Really ramp it up and then really just burst and help get your rotation back on track or just pump in that big damage. Again, from a dagger perspective, rogue, that's two backstabs instantly, which is just a huge amount of damage right off the bat. Again, great tip. Really watch your energy. If you don't have an energy tracking add-on where you can see when your energy is gonna refresh, highly recommend getting it. It's a great add-on. Again, overall, be prepared. Show up with consumes, prep, understand the fight or the fights, sim your gears, use all of your abilities. One of the things, again, I want to reiterate, use every spell you have during a boss fight. Blade Flurry, Adrenaline Rush, all cooldowns, use it, and they should be popped on every single boss fight. Unless they're on cooldown, then obviously you can't, which is what's happening right now in BWL with Fire Maw, Ebb and Rock back to back. It's one of those things where you pick either dragon, blow everything, and the other one you don't have anything back up. So, but on every boss fight, when allowed, you gotta use your T's, you gotta use cooldowns, um, use your entire tool belt on all bosses. It will really help you. It'll go a great length. And again, great rogues adapt and use their full toolkit to shine. That's a true statement. Use it all. So that's really it for the overview of what I look for. I look at. Does anybody want to share a log that we can look at and just kind of go over and see if you're having problems with the fight? When should you pop stuff? We can dissect that, look at it, talk about it. Does anybody want to volunteer a log, whether BWL or AQ40?
Uh, I mean, I can show a log. I don't care. Oh, there you go. Somebody else posted. My bad.
Give me 1 second, sorry. Uh,
Where is
who?
it? I don't see it.
So let me know. So who would want to uh, review a
Are
log?
you gonna are you gonna put them up?
Yeah, I will. I will. Yes. Yeah.
You can
So
just
so
somebody
You can
said it
put
in
my
chat.
log up.
Yeah, you can put any. I don't care.
Yeah.
Krimdar. All right. So I've been working with
Love you.
Krimdar, and I gotta say he's improved drastically. I mean, he reached out to me. He was like, man, I don't understand what's going on. And we're doing deep dives. I'm explaining things, and man, his parses literally doubled in BWL. I mean, he's doing excellent. Minor tweaks in AQ, and he's right there. I mean, he's come such a long way. So here. Let me do this. Let me pull up. I thought I had one up. Bear with me here. Let me see. Where is it at? All right. I'm gonna pull this in, and you guys tell me if you guys see it. You guys see it?
No.
No,
No. Okay. Hold on. I got it's the
you might have to
screenshot.
change your stream or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah. Give me 1 second here. Let's see. I might have to end stream. Hold on, and then let me. Oh, change. All right. Now you guys see
There
it?
we go. Yeah.
Excellent. All right. So I was working with Krimdar and kind of comparing um, my parses to his. We were going through it, checking it out, seeing where what can be done. And this is the Uru fight. So with Uru, it's one of those things where rogues have the ability to essentially ignore the sweep mechanic 3 times. And the way you do that is the rotation that I like to use is the first one, I will evasion his first sweep. Then his third sweep, I would lip. And then his second sweep, I would lip. Third sweep, I would vanish. By doing those 3 things, you avoid the sweep mechanic and you do not get punted back. You stay on him 100% of the time. So that's your window of opportunity to really pump damage into him, right? So you can see here is that we're pretty much close on damage right here, right? And then even cast. So when I look at some logs that are sent to me, I I immediately go to the cast, right? How many of the spells did they cast? So for example here, I have Crimdar at 17 backstabs and I did 23. So pretty close. Again, I have Renetekis, which helps pump in 1 or 2 extras depending on the energy tick. So we're pretty much right there. You can see here's what I do whenever somebody wants to uh, wants me to, uh, sorry, dog's going crazy. Look at logs, right? So I look at all this. Here's where you can see, yep, T was used, Blade Fury was used, AR is used. He's used every trick in the book. This right here is what I like to is to see because I know he's used everything to maximize DPS. So then what I do is okay, let's check out the opener. Um, what I do here, you can see, oops, let me see here. Um, so here's the big difference here, right? So he used AR at 8 seconds. I used it at a minute 21. And this is where I think he probably had a better timing on that because I like to avoid the sweeps in the beginning by having AR popped later in the phase around 20% mark. I'm susceptible to now be hit back, and now I'm losing 2 to 3, 4 seconds off of AR, which is a lot of damage. So one thing that I could do here is I could either pop it early and make sure that I have 100% uptime on my cooldowns, or I would try to avoid 3 sweeps later in the fight, more around this mark, where I know I can help with the 20% berserk and avoid all of the sweeps. So this is where I think it can go either or on this one because we were avoiding the first 3 sweeps. I should have popped this sooner because I believe I got knocked back. here, and I had downtime. Yeah, you can see I had downtime on AR. So that's a mistake on my part where I think Grimdar did it a little bit better right there. So again, this is what I look at. Next thing that I look at in AQ profit, there's really two fights that rogues can um, you can kind of look at from a perspective that it's kind of a standstill fight, right? Everything else has a lot of variables. So Fenris is another one where I look at, I'm like, okay, right off the bat, I can see that right here, Thistle Tea wasn't used. That's something, again, Thistle Tea is big, use it all the time, whether it's just didn't have a chance. But that's where Grimdar missed that, which could have helped him get his numbers up. Not a big deal. Slight adjustment, and it's an easy adjustment. Next is backstabs. He's got 6. I have 13. So I look at him like, well, wait a second. Why is that? I'm like, oh, he got wrapped, which sucks. He got web wrapped for, what is it, essentially 15 seconds. So he was pretty much out of this fight. So that's why the big disparity. Okay, that's where the RNG comes into play, where the mechanics essentially didn't go his way, right? Because he got web wrapped and just bad, so not a big deal. Nothing he can help. So this fight, Fenris, and then Uru is what I look at, and then Huhu also. I go into the logs. I'm like, wait, again, go in here. How many was cast? What was used? Again, everything was used but Thistle Tea. So, and you can see here, backstabs, nice and clumped, because Huhu's one fight that where you really got to burn her down from 30% on. Again, that's why I say I pop everything right around the 40, between 40 and 45, because you can see from the minute that I pop AR right here at 41 seconds, and it's a 1 minute fight. So I almost timed it right where my AR fell off right as she died. So I popped it a little too soon, but still I was able to get full duration rather than if I popped it, let's say at the 50-second mark, I wasted 5 seconds of it. So this is really min-maxing everything, but you're really trying to utilize all your skill sets, tool belt, tricks and tips, everything into a boss. This is what's going to really get your up arses high, right? Make sense?
Yeah,
Yeah.
So
for sure.
this is a great way to go into a fight, even if you're like, okay, what happened on that fight? Why weren't my numbers high? What was going on?
Mhm.
One thing that I'm gonna leave you with, and then we can go to a Q&A. I'm not sure how many dagger rogues we have here, but do you guys know on Cthulhu where to stand during his weekend phase?
There's a specific spot. I thought we just got close. Oh wait, you're talking
Yes,
about for daggers,
for
right? On
daggers,
swords.
yes. Yeah, daggers. Yeah. So for daggers, and I had to review this and kind of look into this, right? When here we go. So if you can see on my screen right now, this is the way Cthulhu faces in phase 2. You see this little, uh, what is it,
Mm.
radar mark, whatever you want to call it.
His view.
Yeah, his view. He's looking at like 11 o'clock, right? So dagger rogues want to be right around the 5 o'clock mark, and that's his back, is right here. So if you're a dagger rogue, when they're about to kill the last tentacle to get him in the weekend phase, you want to be pretty much right here. Again, you want to kill the eyes and so on, but for dagger rogues, you want to get in position because you got to get ready to start pumping damage into the boss. And you can see here, um, there we are. We're getting ready to go in there. The tentacle. Yep, here we go. See, here's the rogues. We're gonna be right here. Idsapdat, I think, is a sword rogues, but dagger rogues line up right here, and even all melee actually, because the boss can still parry and dodge. That's still a factor. Always be behind the boss. So that's where a little tip here on Cthulhu. Go to the 5 o'clock mark. That's his back, because you can't. He doesn't really have a back in physically. So, but that's where you want to go. Uh,
RT4 collapses on the opposite side, so that makes it nice and easy. It already puts us in position.
yeah. So I don't know why it's not working right now, but I don't know what happened. Uh, anyways, yeah. So that's kind of it. Again, these little things from what I see from logs, those little tricks, adjustments, and overall knowledge of the fight, knowing when to pop cooldowns is really gonna just up the overall damage, parses, and then utilizing every spell, every cooldown you have on every boss, and then knowing when to. So that's kind of it. Any questions? So floor's open. We can talk amongst each other, ask questions, whatever you guys like. The floor's all your guys's.
I have a question about the Oru fight.
Yeah.
So a couple weeks ago, issues I was having is um, during the knockback. If I didn't get knocked back, I actually had to step back. Otherwise, I got one-shotted by a melee.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
so, and then last week, I specifically, yeah, because so the week 2 weeks ago, I died by exactly that. Like right towards the beginning, he did one sweep, died right at the beginning of the fight. And then so last week I was basically stepping out for that reason to make sure I didn't get one shot. Is that not something?
No. So a sweep should not one-shot you. What it could
No,
have
I'm
been.
talking after the sweep. After the sweep, everyone gets knocked back. I'm the only one close to him. He turns and melees me.
Okay. Um, yeah, okay, because you're there and then you're probably higher on threat. So that's actually a very good point. So our strategy is we use the mages that's out of range to get aggro. If you're
Um,
not on the aggro table on the sweep, you shouldn't be getting hit.
Well,
well,
he's kind of like
can I say
Rag.
something real quick?
Yeah.
So for that thing, it's Uru, since he's stuck in the ground, acts like a mob that
He's like
if it
Rag.
has, yeah, if it has no targets near it, if it has no targets near it, it will just attack whoever's closest to it.
Right, and that's what was happening. I thought I didn't think I
Yeah,
had
it
threat.
wasn't. Yeah, it's not because I think like we do the same thing. We use mages, but yeah, Uru will just attack the. So the only way I've mitigated it personally is by max meleeing and hoping and just kind of hoping that a tank because ideally I think you just want a tank to be the one taking those hits. So I just like figure out what you can get pretty far max. But yeah, that's the only thing that happens with him that I know that's special is he'll since he's stuck in the ground, if nobody's near him, he will just start attacking whoever's in range of him.
Oh, interesting. See? All right.
Yeah. And I have seen some videos recommend drinking a nature protection pot and taking one of the sandblasts if you're having like threat problems because you won't even it won't like it'll take like 500 HP if you drink a nature pot and then step into it to reset your threat.
Well, I found that if I use faint, that's really kept my threat down. I haven't had threat issues, and the one time or when I really get close, I'll just vanish.
And
Yeah.
and
Um,
that's a good point also, right? Is a part of knowing the fight, it's knowing your team and your tanks. And we in RT1, I will always the first one, the first couple of sweeps, I do the whole lip, evasion and then vanish at the end because the vanish will reset my threat. This past week, I did notice that I evasion the first one, and then, but it wasn't until like a couple seconds in that he started to target me. I don't know why, but I saw him target me and I vanished instantly. So I haven't died on that fight yet by doing that rotation. So that's probably something that I missed on his abilities on kind of like rag on why is everybody being swept back. But yeah, we haven't run into that problem.
Yeah.
It's something that a few of us were doing.
Uh,
That's the only thing that
Okay.
happens.
your guys mages probably have the threat thing down really good. This past week it was I don't know their ignite dropped twice and then it was just melee taking turns getting blasted by sand.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean,
Alright.
the fight can turn like that, but like the only important thing is just making sure like whoever's top on threat just doesn't blast the entire raid. That they just like step through him,
That, yeah.
even if you
what
get yourself killed.
what what do you use? Do you just buy the